Decision tweeting, once again, you are keeping the world safe from Iran aggression and terrorism. Thank you for accepting another important request of mine. And it's going to be these gutter rat Amalekite Edomites posing as so-called Israelis that are going to drag you American Edomites into this war of Armageddon, that battle in the Valley of Jehoshaphat. Because you got to remember, a lot of these high-level U.S. politicians, even President Donald Trump, or should I say puppet Donald Trump, are Zionist puppets for the state of Israel. This is Jeremiah 49:20. Therefore, hear the counsel of Yahweh that he hath taken against Edom, you so-called white people, and his purposes that he hath purposed against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the flock, those gutter rat Amalekite Edomites posing as so-called Israelis, shall draw them out, the United States, into a greater war with Iran. Surely he shall make their habitations desolate with them. So some type of event, some type of false flag is going to occur to where Israel's going to declare war on Iran, and that's not only going to drag in the United States, which is an ally of Israel, but it's also going to drag in Iran's allies as well, such as Russia and China. This is Ezekiel chapter 38. I'm going to quickly go through verse 2 through 7. Son of man, set thy face against Gog, which is the biblical name of Russia, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him, and say, Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, Behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and I will turn thee back, and put hooks into thy jaws, and will bring thee forth. And where it says, I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, that's referring to the Most High putting that old dominant Soviet Union spirit back on these Russian Edomites, and all thine army, horses and horsemen, and all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords, their military equipment in the Middle East. Persia, the ancient name for Iran, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet. Gomer and all his bands, the ancient name of Turkey, the house of Togarmah of the north quarters, and all his bands, and many people with thee. Be thou prepared, and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out, the United States, Russia being a guard unto Iran, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, NATO, what have you. This is going to be a very destructive war that's about to take place. This is Joel chapter 3 verse 9. And again, it's all a part of prophecy. Nothing will happen that will avert this war of Armageddon from taking place. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Prepare war, that battle in the valley of Jehoshaphat. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Verse 10, beat your plowshares into swords, and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. And you're seeing all these nations getting geared up for war. You've got the U.S. labeling the Iranian Revolutionary Guard as a terrorist organization equivalent to ISIS. And where it says, let the weak say, I am strong, you've got these smaller nations now bucking up to the U.S. and Israel. Just look at Iran, for instance. When the U.S. labeled the Iranian Revolutionary Guard as a terrorist organization, you had you had Iran's Supreme National Security Council respond by declaring U.S. Central Command a terrorist group. Let the weak say I am strong, because they know they have Russia or Gog being a guard unto them. Verse 11, assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, you Edomites, you Ishmaelites, you Americans, you Turkish people, you Russians, you Chinese, you Israelis, you Iranians, you Saudi Arabians, what have you, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Yahweh. And these mighty ones are referring to the death angels of the Most High over in the Middle East, just waiting to get the signal to release all this destruction. And that's going to take place when the mark of the beast, when that microchip implant is mandatorily implemented. Verse 12, let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, or Yahweh Shaphat, which means Yahweh's judgment. For there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about, and he's going to judge these heathens for the wickedness they've committed against his children, which are you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. So brothers, with each passing day, we're getting closer and closer to all hell breaking loose. So now more than ever, you have to have all 10 toes down in this truth to make your calling and election sure, and to not be taken out of this truth so close to the finish line. And as always, I'm going to say Abba Babal and Kwam Yasharala. And I'm going to close the video out with this video titled Speeches That Still Matter, General Wesley Clark on U.S. going to war in 7 countries in 5 years. It was always a part of the plan to go to war with Iran. Remember, the wicked are estranged from the womb. They go forth speaking lies as soon as they be born.
To worry about Iraq, not Iran. I knew why, because I'd been through the Pentagon right after 9/11. About 10 days after 9/11, I went through the Pentagon and I saw Secretary Rumsfeld and Deputy Secretary Wolfowitz. I went downstairs just to say hello to some of the people on the Joint Staff who used to work for me. And one of the generals called me in. He said, "Sir, you got to come in. You got to come in and talk to me a second." I said, "Well, you're too busy." He said, "No." He says, "We've made the decision. We're going to war with Iraq." This was on or about the 20th of September. I said, "We're going to war with Iraq. Why?" He said, "I don't know." He said, "I guess they don't know what else to do." So I said, "Well, did they find some information connecting Saddam to Al-Qaeda?" He said, No. He says, "There's nothing new that way. They've just made the decision to go to war with Iraq." He said, "I guess it's like we don't know what to do about terrorists, but we've got a good military and we can take down governments." And he said, "I guess if the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem has to look like a nail." So I came back to see him a few weeks later, and by that time we were bombing in Afghanistan. I said, "Are we still going to war with Iraq?" And he said, "Oh, it's worse than that." He said, he reached over on his desk, he picked up a piece of paper. He said, I just got this down from upstairs, meaning the Secretary of Defense office today. And he said, "This is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran."